أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد سيد الأولين والآخرين مدد يا رسول مدد يا سادات أصحابنا مدد يا مشايخ الدستور وما شاء الله فأزداد سنة محمد الحقان طريقتنا الصحبة والخير في الجميع. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأقيموا الصلاة والزكاة واركعوا مع الراكعين. صدق الله العظيم. Allah Azze ve Celle namazı ilk başta İslam'ın emirlerinin başıdır.
To perform one's prayer, to pray 5 times a day, is the first of all orders which Allah Almighty has ordered us to do.
Namaz kılmak, zekat vermek.
One must first and foremost perform one's prayers 5 times a day, one's obligatory prayers, and one must also give a zakah.
Şimdi insanlar bazı insanlar var kendi kafalarına göre
Now, however, there are some people who want to practice religion according to their own minds.
Dini yapmak isterler. Yani zannederler ki iyi yapıyoruz.
And by practicing religion according to their own minds, they assume that they are doing something good.
Namazın yerine hiçbir şey geçmez.
But nothing can take the place of the obligatory prayer.
Farz namazın yerine hiçbir şey geçmez.
Nothing can replace the obligation of performing prayer 5 times a day.
Onu yapman lazım.
You must perform your obligatory prayers 5 times a day.
Başka şey ne yaparsan onu telafi edemezsin.
Whatever else you do, you cannot compensate for that.
Onun faziletini, onun sevabını.
You may not obtain the virtue, you may not obtain the reward of praying 5 times a day with something else.
Ondan sonra onu kılmayıp da şey yaparsan ahirette her namaz için 80 sene namaz kılarsın.
If you do not perform your obligatory prayers, if you do not pray 5 times a day, and in addition to that, if you do not make up for the obligatory prayers you've missed, you're going to be held accountable in the hereafter. And for every single prayer, for every single obligatory prayer you missed, you will have to pray for 80 years.
80 sene dediğim bütün hayatın insanın 80 senedir ancak.
It takes an entire life to make up for a single missed prayer. If it said 80 years, that is nearly that spans an entire lifetime.
Yani farz olduğu vakit.
And this shows the importance of the obligatory prayer.
Onun için bazı insanlar işte riyazat yapacağım.
And there are some people who say, I'm going to do riyazat, I'm going to perform asceticism and seclude myself.
Namaz kılar mısın? Yok.
And then you ask them, do you pray? Do you perform your obligatory prayers 5 times a day? And they say no.
Riyazatın ne faydası var sana vakit?
And what is the benefit of asceticism if you do not perform your prayers 5 times a day?
Ne riyazatı ne tesbihatı ne sadakası hiçbir şey namazın yerini tutmaz.
If you neither asceticism or nor tesbih nor charity, nothing can take the place of the obligatory prayer.
İslam'ın emri, Allah Azze ve Celle'nin emri, İslam'ın usulü, direği namazdır.
The command of Islam, the order of Allah Almighty, is clear, and the way how to live our religion is clear, and the method and the pillar of Islam is the obligatory prayer, to perform prayer 5 times a day.
Namazı kılmadıktan sonra istersen 100 sene tesbihat yap, 100 sene oruç tut.
If you do not perform your obligatory prayers, then even if you performed tasbih, did dhikr for 100 years, or if you fasted for 100 years, it will have no benefit.
100 sene ne yaparsan amuda kalk,
And whatever you do for 100 years, even if you did a handstand for 100 years, it will not take the place of a single obligatory prayer.
Gene hiçbir namazın yerini tutmaz. Bir vakit namazın yerini tutmaz.
Whatever you do instead of your obligatory prayer, it will not take the place of a single obligatory prayer.
Şimdi bazı insanlar bazıları kendi kafalarına göre yapar, ben yaparım. Bazıları da başkalarının lafıyla.
Now you see people doing all kinds of things according to their own minds and opinions, and they say, I will do this, I decided to do that. And there are also others who act based on what others say.
Bu şeyler yapar ki o da onlara bir fayda vermez.
And you see people doing all kinds of things instead of what is obligatory. But all those things which they do in place of what is obligatory will be of no benefit.
Fayda vermez, zarar verir. Çünkü farzı bırakmışsın, nafile yapıyorsun. Nafile, hadi Allah tesbihat o da başka bir sevabı var ama onun namazın yerine geçmez.
By abandoning the obligatory act, by abandoning your obligatory duties such as performing prayer 5 times a day, will cause harm. It will give you no benefit. And even if you perform voluntary worship, which is nafila or dhikr, of course, to perform nafila worship, to do voluntary acts, to do dhikr, to do tasbih, all those things, they do have a reward, and there's blessing in doing them, but they do not replace what is obligatory.
O muhakkak namazını kılacaksın.
Therefore, you must first and foremost perform your prayers 5 times a day.
Tesbihat ondan sonra yaparsın.
After that, you may do your tesbihat.
Nafileler de yapabilirsin.
After having fulfilled your obligations, you may perform your nafila prayers.
Ondan sonra istediğin şeyi yapabilirsin.
After having fulfilled your duties, your obligatory duties, you may do whatever you want when it comes to additional worship.
Oruç da aynı şekilde.
And the same applies to fasting.
Farz orucu tutacaksın.
You must first perform the obligatory fast during Ramadan.
Ondan sonraki oruçlar istediğin kadar şey yap.
And after that, you may fast additionally as much as you like.
Ramazan'da ben tutmayacağım da başka vakit oruç tutarım, onun yerine geçer. Geçmez o.
And you mustn't say such a thing, I will not fast during Ramadan, instead I will fast another time. Not fasting in Ramadan will not replace your obligation to fast in Ramadan.
Fakat yani şey olarak, kaza olarak olursa gene kazanda sevabı 1000'de 1, milyonda 1 kalmaz ama.
And you must know that if you missed your obligatory prayer or if you missed your obligatory fasting, you must perform qada, you must make up for it. And you must also be aware that not fulfilling your duties on time when you have to do them, then even if you make up for them, you will only get a blessing or a reward that is only maybe 1 in 1,000 or 1 in a million.
Vaktinde Allah Azze ve Celle'nin sana emrettiği vakitlerde.
Therefore, it is important to fulfill your obligations during the time during which Allah Almighty has ordered you to perform these duties.
Yaparsan o vakit her şey yapabilirsin ondan sonra.
And once you have completed your obligations as Allah Almighty ordered you to do them, and during the time that has been appointed for you, then after that you may perform any additional and any voluntary act of worship.
Nafileleri ondan sonra yapılır. Farzdan sonra nafileler yapılır.
The additional and voluntary worship are to be performed after one has completed one obligatory acts of worship.
Farzdan önce farzın yerine geçmez.
And a voluntary act does not replace an obligatory act.
Şimdi Allah insanları da kendi düşünceleri değil de Allah'a yol göstermiş.
Therefore, people must not follow their own thoughts. Instead, they must follow the way which Allah Almighty has shown.
O yolda gideceksin.
And you must walk on that path which Allah Almighty has shown.
Onu yaptıktan sonra sen istediğin kadar dediğin gibi düşüncelerini yapabilirsin.
And once you have completed your obligatory duties, you may perform as much as additional worship as you desire.
Tesbihatını bütün gün yap.
You may do tesbih, zikr all day.
Bütün sene yap. Mühim değil.
You may do tesbih, zikr all year. It is okay.
Riyazat yapacaksan o da yine onun da usulü var.
And when it comes to performing seclusions, there's also a way how to do it.
Kendi kafana göre yaparsan gene bir fayda olmaz.
Seclusion is an act of worship which you may not do according to your own thoughts or according to your own mind. Otherwise, there will be no benefit.
Onun yapacağı nasıl yapılacak, nasıl edilecek diye mürşitten, şeyhten öğreneceksin.
You must learn from your murshid or from a sheikh how to perform seclusion properly.
İzin alacaksın.
And you must get a permission from your sheikh.
Öteki türlü o da biraz tehlikeli olur. Riyazat kendi kafana göre yapmak.
Otherwise, it will become dangerous to perform seclusion according to your own mind.
Allah bizi kendi nefsimize bırakmasın.
May Allah Almighty not leave us to our own egos.
Nefes iyilik yapayım derken kötülük yaptırabiliyor insana.
The ego, while saying "Let me do good," can cause a person to do evil or a bad thing.
Allah muhafaza etsin.
May Allah Almighty protect us.
Ve minallah tevfik. El Fatiha.